right. Why don't we just start with, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do for a living?
Go ahead, babe.
Well, my name is Leslie. It's my husband, Ryan. We run a charter boat in the Virgin Islands. He is the captain and I am the chef.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And Ryan?
Yeah,
You're the
so
captain,
like
the
I
chef.
said, yeah, I'm the captain of the boat, and you know, we work hard, we play hard, and we're in the charter industry. Some people think it's kind of like the below deck thing, and I guess in a way, maybe so, maybe not, but it's the lifestyle we live.
Cool, man. Yeah, I didn't know. Sometimes I don't know like protocol of like, I got two of you guys here, and Leslie basically introduced you. So I'm like, Ryan, do you got anything to add to that? But yeah, that's good. How did you guys get into it? What was the
I think, yeah, so I was at a point in my life in my 20s, and I could literally go anywhere in the world, do anything I wanted to do. And so I was one of those geeks that actually just sat down and made like an actual 2-column list of like, what do I love and where do I love to be? And all of them seem to follow back to the ocean and sailing. So I from Missouri, so I made the decision to sell everything, pack everything up in the back of my SUV, drove down to Florida. And once I got to Florida, something didn't feel quite right. So I just kept going all the way down to the end to Key West. And so that's where I found charter boats, and I walked down to a dock and I saw a bunch of those old tall sailing ships, those old wooden ones. And I'm like, oh my God, that is awesome. That is like the old ones, like the pirate ships. And I said, I would just walk down to the captain. I'm like, how do I do what you do? Like what does that take? And he said, well, if you've got the time and you've got the dedication, I'll show you. So I hooked up with an old salt and he walked me through it, did basically through an apprenticeship program. And now I do this. Boats kept getting bigger and all that stuff.
Yeah. Leslie, how'd you get into it?
By pure chance. I didn't even know that this was an option as a career. And I'm so glad that I found it. So I was living in Puerto Rico and someone said, hey, you know, can you cook? And I said, no. They said, do you like boats? And I said, I love boats. They said, do you want to live on this boat? And I said, absolutely. And they said, well, can you read? And I said, I can read. And I said, okay, well, here's, you know, a book of recipes. You're going to go out for a week with these people and you're going to make these recipes. And I was like, okay.
Awesome.
So just kind of started winging it and just really, really loved it, got into it, and progressively the food got better and better. I do always think I want to go back to that first charter and apologize to them. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you weren't supposed to like take a whole thing of bacon and just throw it in a pan and kind of stir it around. Because I also have to add, I was a vegetarian at this point too. So I never tried any of the meat that I was serving, or it was, yeah, those poor people.
Oh my gosh. And then at what point do you guys get like formal training? I know there was like a stage, or maybe there was a stage, maybe there wasn't, where you I don't know, go out with a captain and then you go take like there's like formal licenses that you have to hold and things like that.
Yes. Right? Yeah. So once this guy put me under his wing, and like I say, the guy's long left this earth and God rest his soul, but he was definitely trying his hardest to pass on every little ounce of knowledge he possibly could. And you have to be a sponge. And then like the formal side of it, yes, the US Coast Guard, they've got their exams that you have to take and get your credentials and your certification. There's different levels of that, just kind of similar to being a airline pilot or anything like that. And there's training courses, there's continuing education, there's safety classes, survival classes at sea, and crowd management, there's firefighting, there's first aid, there's tons of classes that they're never ending. And so in fact, I continue to take classes. I just recently finished 7 more classes over the last 10 months or so, and it's never, and I got another one coming up. I got another one coming up here pretty soon that I'm going to have to take, and that should be my last one for maybe 2 years. So
great. Yeah, I imagine it's like a pilot's license. You just have to, there's always a license that you can probably upgrade to
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, if you want
cool.
to, if you want to drive little boats, then you get a very little license. If you want to take more people, you need. It's just same thing. And then your route changes if you want to go. If you're just on inland lakes, if you want to go near coastal, those are different delineations. Or if you have an offshore license, so it's called an oceans endorsement, where you can go transnational. There's a lot to it. And there's way more above what I have. So
Yeah,
it's a
that's great.
process.
And Leslie, have you ever got any like formal training with cooking, or do you just like repetition? You got better and better over the years, kind of like myself. I haven't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with repetition, it's been great. I did a specific yacht chef course over in England, of all places, because I don't think people necessarily relate England with, I don't know, flavorful food. Does that mean?
Hey, some
Wow,
people.
I know,
keep going into that one.
But the course was amazing. It was specific to yacht chefs. It was teaching you to work with the ingredients that are available for you, because that's kind of one of the challenges with our job is you can't go to the store and get everything that you can get in the States. It's kind of like, here's this little store, you have what's available. You have to make something fine dining for it, fine dining quality. And then also working in a small space and just those kind of things. So it was a great course. I met a lot of other yacht chefs too, which was really cool because it kind of creates that bonding experience and then gives you that confidence that like, okay, this is where we all are, because this career is such kind of like an independent thing. You don't necessarily know, well, what are the other charter boats doing? Are we on par with what they're doing? Are we above them? Are we below them? So that was nice to have that there too. And then I've taken some just kind of short classes, like how to make pasta and how to make certain desserts and stuff like that. And we have a great support system with all the yacht chefs too. It's like, oh my gosh, we have this vegan, lactose intolerant, allergic to, I don't know, what's like
Peanuts
and watermelon. Like, do you guys have a recipe for this? And we can all kind of help each other. Like, hey, I did this. This is how I plated it. So it looked like this. And yeah.
Great. That's
and
awesome.
then of course, just like Ryan said, but I mean, I don't think a lot of the guests realize all the training that does go into it. I mean, we are constantly behind the scenes, keeping up with safety requirements and things like that. So the goal is to make it fun and not let the guests think about all that kind of stuff. But we do have that, safety is our number one concern when we do it.
Total smoke and mirrors. Like you guys are just watching the whole time where it's like everybody's partying and you're like, one.
We call it, we call it, and all of our friends in the industry feel the same way. It's about halfway through the season, you feel like you're stuck in Mickey Mouse syndrome, where like you put this hat on that's got the ears and you're like, you could be arguing about something, or the boat might not be running, and everybody shows up, and it's like all of a sudden, hey, how are you? Hey, tell me about what it's like you say, smoke and mirrors, and there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and not a lot of that is very desirable, but it definitely pays for itself when you get out on the water and you get to see priceless views and have priceless experiences with all those people's families. It's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm reminded of back when I was bartending, we had this bar back who was amazing. And he was hooking up a cranberry line came loose. And cranberry comes in these boxes. It's just like this thick molasses mixture that gets mixed with water and diluted. So once it comes out of the machine, like the gun, then it's tolerable, right? But the line broke before it got mixed, and he was just covered from waist down with dripping with like what looked like fake blood, and it was spraying him.
Wow, man, you okay?
He's still taking orders, and I'm like, Corey, you okay, buddy? Like he's just like dripping fake blood from the waist down. He's like, hi, how's it going? Welcome, guys. What can I get you? Anyways, that just reminds me of like boat's not running, and you guys are like, hi, welcome, get on this boat. Then we'll figure out how to sell in a few minutes.
That's 100%. Yep, same.
How long have you guys been at it now?
So I started professionally doing this in 2006 or 2007, but I grew up on the water, strangely from Missouri. I understand people like, but there's actually like 200 or 300 lakes in Missouri, and there's yacht clubs. There's a lot of boating. In fact, at a split family, but we always had at least one family member on a local lake in the area. And so I remember junior, senior year in high school, my dad actually kind of turned me loose and gave me free reins to take the boat out with my friends, and which had its own consequences. But anyway, so I've had it in my blood forever. My entire family is still real big into, not my entire family, almost all my family is really big into the boating scene, the ocean scene. So
Can you tell me about the consequences that came with that experience?
oh well, I guess
I'm a little curious
now the
too.
statute of limitations is worn out, so none of this actually matters. Oh no, I would. So okay, let's real quick. I had gotten most of my credits in high school done early, so they put me in the office, and my job in the office was the attendance guy. That was the worst decision my high school made since its inception, because all I would do is write passes for people so they could cut class, typically girls, and my best buddy and I, and we cut out of school around 11:30 in the morning. We'd go use fake IDs, load up with beer, and go out to the lake and just party hard. And my dad always pretended to not know, because we always got back safe. We never had any, big problems, never crashed a boat, nothing really terrible happened. But my God, everybody on that lake could see we were out there just partying hard. It was probably 3 days a week for 2 years.
Nice.
It wasn't like one incident. This was like a continuation, which of course you think you're being slick. We'd have the guys drive down to the boat ramp, and then I'd take the boat off the lift and drive down by myself. So it looked like I was just going out for a little run and pull in there and back the truck down and load up. Anyway, everybody jump in, pile in, party boat. So anyway, so I guess I cut my teeth that way. And yeah, it was great. My dad finally came out like maybe 4 or 5 years later. And he's like, that we pretty much knew every single time you were out, because we were getting the phone calls while I was at work. I just didn't have time to deal with it. So in a way, I guess that taught me responsibility.
Yes.
how to not screw up too bad.
Yeah, how to screw up within the lines of of getting away with
Exactly.
it. Yeah, I'm breaking the rules, but not too much. That's good. That's good.
I think it's a super healthy part of growing up. But
Yeah.
Definitely. Leslie, I side note on cooking. I just had something in my memory jarred when you were like, England, and then you wouldn't think that for school, but have you ever gotten a crazy request for full English breakfast where you had to find a blood sausage or something that's not necessarily common in a grocery store? You had to scramble or sail somewhere to get an ingredient.
Who was that had to ask for the Queen's breakfast?
Yeah, someone wanted the Queen's breakfast, and that's the same thing. And
man, that was terrible. that was.
So I try my best to fulfill every request within reason, right? And sometimes when they're too ridiculous or I can't find an ingredient, I just kind of ignore it and hope they don't bring it up. For the most part, they're pretty happy.
As you're serving breakfast, look at the boat over there sailing by. Pay no attention to what's on your plate right now.
Yeah, I do have some good things backing me up. The fact that, you're eating outside, you're in this beautiful location, someone else is making it for you. And I hope it's a beautiful dish, you eat with your eyes. And so we don't get a lot of complaints, which is great. I really can't think of anyone that's been like, it would, my trip was amazing, but I did miss that Queen's breakfast. And thankfully that hasn't come up.
Still waiting for the blood sausage.
Yeah.
Great. That's understandable, I suppose. If you're like, we're at sea. What do you want from me? I don't know.
We have had people that do have, they need this certain drink every day or whatever, and they will ship it in, because I'll say, I'll try my best, but again, my resources are limited. And so they'll ship it in, we'll keep it for them, we'll stock the boat for them with it.
It happens with wines sometimes, our selections for no reason at all sometimes gets limited on the island.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then all of a sudden we'll have some great stuff. So sometimes there's actually quite a few people that have a specific red wine that they drink, and that's their thing, and we may not have it, and so they'll actually ship it down. We'll
Which is
Put on the
totally
boat.
fine. I have no problem doing that for them. What I have a problem with is when they complain that we didn't get it for them. And it's like, okay, but I have this other really great stuff for you. Like, is this really going to ruin your vacation? This wine that you drink at home all the time? Like, maybe try something different while you're on the islands, like something that the islanders drink, you know, and then you can go home and have your wine again.
Doesn't that drive you crazy? Yeah, where you're like, just try.
Wow. Yeah, that decision doesn't go through an approval process. So,
Is that wrong?
No, hey, I'm with you. I feel like I think more people should get outside of their comfort box. There's too many people that are like, "No, Kraft macaroni and cheese. I've had it all my life. That's it. I don't want any different kind of." But then they have Velveeta shells or like dates and caramelized onions and their and their mac and cheese, and they're like, wow,
Mind
okay,
blown,
yeah, this is actually pretty good. I had that at a wedding one time, and I was like, this is badass. way better than Kraft. So I totally understand the like, well, you don't want to try something new, like you want to drink like the locals or have a rum drink or something. Anyways, that's awesome. Do you guys have a story that you might want to share with us about like the most uncomfortable situation at work? Is there anything that jars your memory, or you think of like, oh, this one time was really bad? Or
I just had PTSD for a second just by you asking that question. But
I was thinking about that time we had, so the boat will hold up to 6 guests, and very rarely do we have just 2 people. But when we had the couple, and you did the photo shoot.
Oh my God.
And he handled it very professionally.
A photo shoot. Yes. Yeah.
I was in the galley making breakfast, and Ryan every morning usually goes up and chit chats with the guests and kind of sets the plan for the day for what's going to go on. And then he came down and he was like, oh my God. I'll let you tell the story.
No, because you got the picture in your head.
I wasn't out there though, so I think that the couple, you know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, perfect.
Are you talking about when they're out on the paddle boards?
When they were swimming, didn't you do a
Okay,
photo
so
shoot?
yeah, well, keep in mind, this was a long charter. So we normally go out for a week. This one was 10 days.
This is 10 days with 2 people. So that's a long time to be with just 2 people.
And we have to be careful because we got to be careful with what we say because people expect their privacy.
No names. Yeah, no names.
Oh yeah. So I go outside. Keep in mind. So explain. First of all, explain like
the dynamic.
Yeah. Who these people.
So it was an older gentleman with a younger girlfriend. They were engaged. Yes. I don't know. I mean, they were fantastic. They were super nice. They were super fun.
She was a bombshell 10 that worked out heavy, hard.
Yeah,
like she was
gorgeous.
Like, yeah, took pride in that. He
was
didn't.
But it does.
So anyway, that's okay. So
neither here nor there.
Let's get you started on this.
Sure.
Apparently, this was kind of a superficial, kind of short-term relationships at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. So they, even before they came on, asked if they could skinny dip or they could tan naked. And I'm like, yeah,
absolutely.
Like it's your boat. I don't care. Just no barracudas at the dinner table and whatever. Like everything else, like whatever. Get with it. So in the morning, I get up and they're naked. They're naked, jump in the water. Dude's coming back up out of the water in the buff. Like I'm keep in mind, like if you understand like a catamaran, you're standing down on what we call the sugar scoop, and then there's a ladder that's like the sugar scoop's basically at the water level. There's a ladder that goes down. So he's climbing up, and I'm standing on that lower step facing him. There's not like a big platform to walk around. He's like, excuse me, and he rushes right by me. He's like, yeah, I got this camera up here. He takes some photos of us. So they proceed to go out and do their thing, and I'm snapping photos, and they're active, and like I feel like I honestly like I'm gonna, if I ever decide to go and shoot National Geographic as a cameraman, like
you have experience.
That's on my resume. I feel like I'm a shoo-in for the position.
Yeah, I've captured mating before.
Yeah, I mean
before breakfast.
Yeah, like that dude has energy from dinner before. Like who knows how that went out. But so that whole week was actually intense.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
did it. He did it. So this is Ryan. So professional. Did it. Didn't make them feel uncomfortable at all. Did what he was supposed to do.
I participated.
Whoa.
That part.
No, like I'm like, hey, you know, maybe like the sun's behind you. Maybe come over here and get the sun. You know, so I was helping. I was like,
Yeah.
You know,
Angles.
your hair back. I'm like, anyway, I feel like I gave him the best product that we possibly have gotten in that situation with
so
that
proud of
lighting
you.
and
I'm
the
so proud of
material
you.
I was working with. I feel like it was a 10. It had to be.
Yeah.
Well, he comes in and I swear he turned into like a little boy who's like, you know, blushing and embarrassed. And I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah.
I was really proud of you. You know what the
Took a
guests,
lot of energy.
what the guests, you know, want. If we can provide it, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Pretty much on the boat. If you want it, you get it, as
Yeah.
long as it's not
Wine.
unsafe or as long as no
Wine from a place I can't get.
as long as it's not, yeah, or the Queen's breakfast or anything related that she doesn't. Anyway,
I'm not able to do it.
Yeah, we pretty much. I go by the deal. Like, you know, some of the people when you get on their boats, they have like the captain's got this whole spiel and this speech, and it's like towels need to go here, and when you like all these rules, and nobody spends that kind of money to come down and have somebody tell them what to do. The reason why they're doing it is to be free of all the confines of society back home. So I basically say, here's where the life jackets are. If you fall off while we're underway, make sure you scream loud and fast. Otherwise, we'll be short a person.
Yeah.
And
Don't die.
I say, you guys have made it this far in life and you're still alive. Like, you could probably handle this.
Probably.
And I'd let people kind of go, you know?
Yeah, it's their vacation. It's fun. And it's in a rare place where you are isolated in a way. You know, like you're on vacation and you're out, but because you're on your boat, you're not around a lot of people. So you have the freedom to let loose and, you know, do stuff maybe you wouldn't normally do at a resort or, I don't know, in front of your coworkers.
And that's fun for us too, because we get to like really get involved with these families their way. Like they get comfortable with us. Talk about other charters.
Not that. Well, maybe him. I don't know.
No, you become part of their family. You know, like the majority of our guests, they stay in touch with us throughout the year, even after they've gotten off the charter. And we just got done visiting one of our previous charter guests who had a suite at a racetrack, and you know, got to spend time with them. And you know, we've got another family that's got a kid who they charter with us every year on a specific holiday, and like we get to see their kids grow up and them showing interest in the things that we do. And you know, the first time they were down there, I'd take the little boy out and take him fishing, and then the next year he drives the tender, and then you know, it's just like he keeps getting better and learning new stuff. And you know, it's really cool to be part of the upbringing of the next generation, them showing interest in what we both love to do for a profession, and also just maintaining those relationships. They're priceless, and makes you feel good to do it, even though it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good segue into a question that I wanted to ask is like the relationships that you guys are probably cultivating while you're spending this like intimate time with these people, clothes or no clothes. Being able to, like, do you keep up with like, hey, if next time you're in Puerto Rico, come see me sometime. Next time you're in Texas, come by. Next time you're in, I don't know, Georgia or something like that. Are there relationships like that you I imagine it's like that. I don't know. Please keep me on the straight and narrow if that's not true.
Absolutely.
I've got about, just while you were asking that question, a dozen families just ran through my head. So
yeah.
I mean, there's people that we chartered with back in like 2015, something like that. And we're in contact regularly, like, hey, you know, we want to see you again. It hasn't happened yet, but it's going to. And because I think it's such a unique vacation and such a unique experience where it is an intimate space, right? That it is something so special. You remember that for a long time. It's a great vacation opportunity. I get people that they'll send me like, oh, a year ago we were doing this, and picture, and it'll bring back memories to me of like, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember Shelly and so-and-so.
How about all the Christmas cards that we're in a lot? That's a huge
really
compliment
cool.
to us. Like,
people will send us Christmas cards, but the photos on their Christmas cards, that they send to everyone they know are photos of them on the boat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because that was
cool.
like their happiest time that year. And it's so cool. It's so cool to be a part of that. And
again, like I say, staying in touch with them is amazing. Like there's let's see how to say it. So there's a family, a guy, and he brings his friends. It's a single payer for this charter, and just a down-to-earth guy from, let's say, Midwest, and he's super, super wealthy. He's got his own twin-engine jet. I mean, he's like, but he just likes to sit down with a straw hat and just drink some semi-warm, semi-cold canned beer, and just like, that when he goes back home, something has to change when he goes back with his friends and things like that, but or went with his coworkers or whatever when he's in his business. But to see like the people be so raw and so real, it's really cool. That they're not faking it. They don't have to impress you. They don't have to, like they've already, by being there, they've already done something really cool. So they can just sit back and enjoy it and tell you stories, like hearing the stories about how their businesses progress and the decisions they make to get vacation homes, and like the family that has the vacation home in Arizona, or family that has like in Minnesota, is it Minnesota, where they have all the ATVs for all the kids, or all the go-karts, and inviting us up to jump on, and like, hey, these are for you guys when you come, and they're like four-wheelers, they're like, these are for you guys, come see us. It's like it's just really it's magical, and no one believes that this world actually exists, and with what we do. And it's just amazing.
Is pretty cool, because I think we do get to see a lot of like families too, like the grandfather will bring their child and then their grandkids, and to see everyone interact. And I think if you go on another vacation, like, oh, well, the kids are going to do this activity and, we're going to do this. But when you're on the boat, you're all included in whatever's going on. And I just think it's such a cool experience for the family to have that bonding. And it's cool to be a part of it for us and to watch it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure when people see you, I don't know, as a pedestrian, do you lie to them sometimes? Because there's so much, like, I imagine there's so many questions. Like, what do you do for a living? Are you like, I'm a carpenter? Like,
This happened to us yesterday afternoon, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah.
This happened yesterday afternoon. We had just flown into the private airport right here by the house that this is my family's house we're at right now. And we'd just flown in, and we own an airplane. We just sold it yesterday. And so we flew in to deliver it to the guy. And while I'm in the bathroom, you hear Leslie's out there by herself. And this guy, he's our age.
Yeah.
He lands in a Robinson helicopter. I mean, this thing was brand new.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful. And he was just getting fuel. He walks over and he's like, hey guys, what's going on? He sees us. We have all of our stuff that we've cleared.
We look like vagabonds.
Yeah, we just like a pile of luggage on the side of the street, basically, at the airport. And there's no one else at this airport. It's just us and him. And he kind of walks over, and just everybody makes small talk when you're in a little airport like that. And keep in mind, he's probably used to being the guy with the most interesting story. And to us, actually, he was.
Yeah.
But he walked over and said hi to us, and we were just in the middle of moving our stuff around. And so we didn't blow him off, but it was kind of like, okay. So he goes back to fuel his chopper, and she and I move our luggage out, and we looked at each other like, who was that guy? Like, he's something, he must be like a professional athlete. He must be like something's unique about this guy. And so when we're saying that, then she and I both turned to look at him. Well, he's got the gas nozzle in his chopper, and he's looking over at us. So he hangs it up and he walks towards us, and we walk towards him. He's like, we wanted to talk to you. He's like, no, I wanted to talk to you guys. So that conversation spurred, but I guess that was kind of the opposite.
Yeah, we did tell him what we did there. But yeah, sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, and even with saying that we live in the Virgin Islands, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I'm from Minnesota, because you just want to explain all of it all the time.
So he wants to he wants to come down on a
And charter the
charter,
boat.
and it turns out that as a side gig, he just buys and sells helicopters. not like something with a lawnmower engine and a little whirlybird blade. Like this guy buys $4 to $5 million helicopters
For fun.
and he's got 11 of them in his house. And he just, and that's his side gig. And I won't tell you what he actually does for a living, but blue collar job. I mean, he owns the company, of course. I mean, it's it's such a cool guy. He was flying his chopper in Wranglers, a t-shirt, and some Caterpillar boots.
Yeah.
He's like, that's my F-150, and it's a brand new helicopter. So I'm like,
nice runaround.
yeah. So it is a crazy world that, you know, if I wasn't doing what I was doing, and you know, we weren't in this line of work, it would never have spurred that conversation with that individual that was intrigued about us. And now, you know, we exchange contact information, and we hope to have them down on a charter at some point. So it's just a very weird way of networking or meeting people.
You're gonna have to get a helo pad on the boat, you know, so he can come in and
I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, okay, I'm in. Let's do it.
Talking about like unassuming things, like when you look at a person, you're like, oh, accountant, I imagine, or oh, this guy probably works on a ranch. You guys are so well versed in like survival, like safety for the boat. You're a classically trained chef at this point. You hold various license. You guys are both captains from what I hear. Is that correct? Both captains of the boat, pilots, so on and so forth. How prepared are you for like the zombie apocalypse or like the end of the world? How confident are you in like, we'll be fine, you know, we can get out to an island or safe, we'll be able to survive more so than the average Joe? You guys have like walk around with this confidence of like, we're fine?
I do feel a little confident. Yeah, I've got my Justice League. Oh my gosh, I can't even say it. Justice League picked out. I know.
Yeah.
He's gonna captain it.
Oh, I'm included. Yes, I'm in. Well, that, you know, stress.
Yeah.
You know,
I imagine.
Now we have I have multiple plans for multiple different types of potential issues: civil unrest, nuclear fallout, zombies. Of course, zombies. But keep in mind, I think I'm right when I say zombies can't swim, right? Or they don't live in water, or
as far as we know, I'm in the same page. I don't think they can swim.
But yeah, I think I've got definitely a few islands picked out. But
we'll come pick you up.
Okay, cool. That's really what I'm alluding to.
We'll have a meeting spot.
You gotta bring something to the table too. I mean, like what are you bringing to the table?
Let me do my homework. I'm gonna have to work on my archery or something. So that I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't have an answer for you.
You know, the greatest thing about the platform that we work on is it is 100% self-sufficient. We make our own water. We can travel with the wind. We have sails. We also have every amenity known to man on that thing.
But if we didn't, we could still.
There's the sea can provide pretty much everything that you need. The water maker that we have, the membranes in it, they filter particulate matter smaller than radiation. So theoretically, even if you were in a bad situation, you would still have drinking water until you can get to a safe place. I mean, without actually planning it out, just the characteristics of like I said, the platform that we work on a yacht, we are basically a floating city. You know, we carry everything with us that we need, and whether it's fishing, spear guns, like I say, water consumption, we can make our own biodiesel if we need to run generators for any particular reason. If we need to go into land for any, you know, when you get off the boat. I mean, we could literally stay at sea for almost ever if we needed to.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. You guys talked about like every little component imaginable is on the vessel, but you're also versed in like navigating, you know, using the stars. Like tell me a little bit about that. Like you guys don't have to have all the bells and whistles. From my understanding, you can use wind and astrology to navigate. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I was
Astronomy.
I was gonna say.
Astronomy. I mean, she'll use astrology to determine
The vibes.
she'll get her feeling, and she'll be able to tell if it's a good day or a bad day. So I'll be using the celestial bodies to try to figure out where we are and which direction we're going.
in tarot cards saying we need to go west.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's that particular aspect can be as simple or as complex as a person wants it to be. You can just figure out how far north and south you are from the equator, or you can pinpoint a location. But what my boss likes to say is the backup for your electronics going down are just another set of electronics. He's like, which is fine with me. That makes my job way
easier.
More simple. But you're correct, and if something was to happen, you do have that base knowledge to go back on, and it's real. It's not gimmicky. There's actual math to it. There's calculations, and you can get close. I like to say is even somebody who's pretty unskilled can get you within 2 or 3 miles of where you're at. And the truth is on the ocean, if you're within 2 or 3 miles,
you can see.
Just look out the window.
Yeah.
You'll know if the island's there or not. Like you don't. It's really way more accurate than it needs to be. Than what you're tested on.
That's awesome. That's so great. This sounds like an amazing gig. Like just I don't know. I'm sure to everybody's like, wow, what a dream. What's like the worst part about your job? Like what's the worst thing that you can think of that it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes you have to do this, or like living out of a suitcase isn't always the or tight quarters, or you get like shitty. I'm just throwing these, I'm spitballing here, maybe none of this is accurate.
Well, I was gonna say probably toilets are the worst. No.
Oh, yeah.
Plumbing on a boat is not like plumbing on a land, and because everything else on the boat does feel like we have so many, I don't even know how you would word it, like the boat feels like home. It has fantastic beds and you get all the food you want and you get all the comforts of home, but the toilets are still not home toilet.
I don't know what
People can't understand that.
I mean, obviously she's doing more heavy lifting than I am when she goes there. That's if that's the worst, then okay. No,
I love my job. I mean, I really do. But people's poop.
You have to be.
It's a daily thing.
Yeah.
Like we've been at it long enough to where we understand the program. But what I think the worst thing for people coming into the industry is they don't really understand how much work, like labor it is. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily lifting bricks and carrying them and building walls like that. It's nonstop moving. You're moving around doing something at all times. And if you think that you're done doing something, then you grab a squeegee and some Windex and you spray and wipe something and you polish it. Or it's just there. You can't let the ocean get ahead of the boat. The ocean is basically an environment it feels like it's there to eat anything that's around it and just absorb it. So you have to fight that constantly, whether it's corrosion or hopefully it doesn't get to corrosion, but even if it's just a foggy piece of stainless steel or a window that hasn't been wiped or sunscreen on my cushions or little things.
Yeah.
You got to stay on top of that stuff. And if you resort to what I say is most people in a 9 to 5 or stateside semi-labor job, it's not 9 to 5. It's 6 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night, maybe midnight, and you're moving the whole time. And
and while you're sleeping, you're also listening to, listening for a change in the generator, change in weather, change, like what's going on outside.
Yeah.
So it's not a vacation per se. It's
totally.
Yeah,
I totally get that. I live in the desert, so sand is always a thing of like, oh, sand is you clean the house and there's still like sand on the surfaces. I would imagine sand and salt from that is a full-time job. Just dealing with that has to be a full-time job. I know you guys are Renaissance, like a Renaissance team. You do everything. How nice would it be? I'm sure people are like, what would it take for me to be, the hand of the ship? How nice would it be to be like, yeah, we could get that guy on sand and salt. That'd be great.
Yeah,
And sunscreen. Yeah.
Well, that's the old joke. If you think about it, if you watch, even go back to Captain Ron or any of the old movies that are about to say, hey, swab, grab the bucket and the mop. Well, it's exactly what you're saying. Like, yeah, that's what immediately a person can do to help out and get on the program and do it, because no matter how much they do, they'll never catch up completely. Like by the time you finish, you'll be starting back over again. So that's kind of the point, is when you earn your stripes. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely, that's the joke of it, but it's also, there's truth to it. You start as a deck swab and work your way up. I will tell you though, it's strange because, I mean, we've just talked about some of the negatives, but the glorious part about our job, when people hear those stories, no one believes it's true. And that actually has a direct impact on us recruiting quality people from the States. Because like, let's say we put an ad out and we need, let's say, a stewardess. We'll say, hey, looking for young, energetic stewardess to work on a private yacht in the Caribbean, light charter duty, private owners are great, pays, solid, enjoy plenty of time off, pumping your Instagram, hanging out in the bikini, swimming, doing whatever you want to do, use the yacht when you're not on. That looks like a scam. Like, no one believes that's true. You're going to make good money. Housing's paid for. Everything's covered by paradise. The yacht. Like, you're on a several $1 million yacht, and you're making money, and enough money to actually put money. Like, if you wanted to have planning for the future and not just blow it like most people do in their 20s, it's good enough money to do that. Like, you could do it for a few years and buy a house. Like, this is. No one believes it to be accurate and true, and so it does adversely affect our recruiting capabilities. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, I imagine even on the worst day, like, you can kind of look out and be like, this is not the worst. Like, this, I could be looking at the back of somebody's head right now in a bus or in a cubicle, crunching numbers. This is not the worst. I am cleaning vomit, but this is not how comfortable are you?
No, absolutely. I think that all the time. If I'm like in a bad mood or I'm grumpy or something, it's like, go outside, look around, like, be thankful. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Great perspective. You're really good at it. Even when it's like a bad weather day, we call it a snow day.
Yeah.
If it's like
rainy,
it's like
or
70
cloudy
or 70, if it's down to like 72, 75, cloudy, it'll be a snow day, but you can still kind of sit out there. Or if the wind kicks up and it's cloudy and we're not on charter, everybody's got to get up and we got to bring in the cushions. It's still cool because you're battling the environment, and it's a change, and there's excitement in it. It's a lot of hard work for a very short period of time, and then you get to sit back and be protected by this vessel that that you've worked so hard to make it function properly, and it's like your little citadel, and it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Do you guys have any advice for anybody that maybe wants to get into the industry in any facet? Is there something that you would be like, be ready for this? Or we talked a lot about I don't know, some of the ups and downs, so maybe there's a little bit of that in there, but is there any specific advice that you would give to someone?
I would say, number one, do it, just do it. If it doesn't work out for you, that's fine, but you will always have that experience, and I don't think you will ever regret it. Like I said, I didn't even know this was an option. So knowing that it was, it's a lot of hard work, but it's so rewarding. It's amazing.
Yeah. So in order to get started, you just got to reach out to somebody and say that you're interested. Our industry needs people that are motivated and want to be there. There is a sector of the industry kind of at the beginning level where people are just like, that's just the next thing to do, which is totally fine. And they last maybe 2 seasons or a year or something like that. But like she's saying, even if that's all that a person puts in, they do have that experience. But
you will remember it forever, even if it's not for you forever. But it might be. And for me, the greatest thing in the world that I found.
But it's so simple to get into if a person is willing to put in a little bit of effort on the front end. And if you wanted to jump full on in the beginning, you can just take a 5-day safety course, and you can get on you won't get an officer rating, you won't be a captain or have an endorsement like as a full-blown mate, but you take a 5-day safety course and get hired on as a stewardess, a non-licensed mate, and yeah, you can do well.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people talk up a big game and they're like, I'm gonna do it, and then you never see them again. It's funny, talking about the industry. I'm sure everybody thinks that you guys are just like so reclusive and out there and you don't talk, but there is an entire industry of like, oh, I know that boat, I know that guy, I know, that chef over there, and this person just had this, celebrity on their boat, so they're busy because they've got, LeBron James or something like that. They're chartering this way. Like, you guys do come together at a certain point, and it's not like living at sea and never, I don't know, docking at dry land. Like, there are times when you guys come together. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And because most of us are so far from our family, because, most people are not from the Virgin Islands, or those people become your family because you guys can relate. You have the same stories, like, oh my gosh, this guest is stressing me out right now, or, oh my gosh, I need this recipe really quick. I mean, they become your family, and you're working so close with your partner, 24/7 for 7 days in front of strangers. So you have to maintain a certain we call it drop off day. The last day that we drop off the guest, you go and you seek out those people on other boats so you can bond with them and kind of, vent and also celebrate that you had a good charter or whatever.
I think what you're referring to, like the community, the local community of people that are doing what we're doing. And yeah, when she says drop off day, bro. It's on. So guests leave at noon, laundry's on the dock by 12:20, fueled up by 12:30.
1 o'clock, you're at the bar.
Put it on anchor, you're at the bar, and everybody else is there too. So
yeah, I bet. I imagine also there's a little bit of just being like the life of the party the whole time. I imagine there's a day that you need to just like, I need to do nothing. I need to do absolutely nothing and see no people for bare minimum 24 hours.
That's the day after drop-off day.
Is that right? Okay. Go get your drink.
I do think because with the charter industry, we all have the same goal, that we want our guests to have a great time. We want, to get more bookings and be out there. So it is supportive. It is a community, like, oh, this broke on your boat, I have this part for you, I can bring it for you. Oh, you ran out of ketchup, here's ketchup from me. Like, oh, you need a game for the kids, here, we have these games. The kids last week loved it. It's definitely a community. I don't know, I love it.
Yeah, so on drop-off day, basically everybody goes out and they have their happy hour at 1 o'clock, and that lasts till 5 or 6.
I imagine it's the quietest happy hour. Like, nobody's talking to anyone. Sorry, go ahead.
Strange, right? So until you get a couple of shots and a couple of cocktails in, and then everybody is just diarrhea of the mouth about their previous charter, or my captain told me to do this, and or then the captain saying, you're not going to believe what my chef refused to do this week. Like, it's just, but this is healthy, right? This is,
you get it out and then you move on.
Like this is part of the process. You've been working, 18 hours at least every single day in close quarters. And then, yes, everybody kind of scatters and then makes their own new groups. All that goes on. It's like your therapy session. And then you wake up the next day, the bad hangover, and get the hose out, start spraying off the deck. Start back in, turning that boat back into something that's presentable.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Guys, you're knocking it out of the park. You're doing such a great job. This is the point in the podcast where I sort of step away from the microphone, and if there's anything that you guys want to, like a public service announcement you want to give to anybody out there, this is the chance to do it, or anything that you want to promote, you certainly can. And if not, then you can just pass it back to me and we'll keep on going.
Yeah, I think.
No, I'm stopping.
Well, no, I mean, I guess one of the things is like it goes back to what we were touching on before, is how much it hurts our recruiting effort. We're actually right now looking for a couple of people to join our team on a brand new yacht. When I say brand new, brand spanking new, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's probably going to be one of the nicest ones in the entire area, and yeah, we'd love to, if somebody's interested.
If somebody's listening, yeah, and is interested in being a stew or a first mate and wants to put in that hard work, but also get to take part in this awesome lifestyle.
We're willing to, for the right person. If they'd have no boating experience, we're willing to, pay to put them through that 5-day course if they're interested in doing it. Or maybe there's another skilled mate that is interested in doing it. Maybe somebody who's got boating history, but
or service industry. Service industry is huge. I mean, that is probably 90, well, that might be exaggerating, maybe 85% of our job, 80% is service industry, taking care of the people, making sure they're happy, reading people's needs before they ask for it. And that includes like looking at like, oh, if he goes any further, that's dangerous for him, or oh, his drink is, almost empty. We got to have another drink before he asks for it. So
that's such an unteachable skill. I'm glad you brought that up. That's such a like if you've got that, that's so much better than like a certification or a license. If you can just kind of read people, that is like, okay, this guy's hammered. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on him. I've heard you guys talk about like big spaghetti dinner for the person that's like overdoing it, like pasta
dinner, bread.
If we want you to go to bed, it will be sugary shots and pasta, and that's when you're not our best friend. So.
Totally giving out all the secrets. Where would you guys post a job like this? Where can people go look for that?
So we're going through some crew agencies right now, and we're entertaining some of that. If you want to send us an email to
Ryan.
To mine?
Yeah.
So you can send one to ryan@offshore.life, LIFE, and send a CV, or hopefully somebody's going to take the time to actually write a paragraph or two about
why they would want to, or why this is interesting.
Sure. And
I think we've probably given a good enough insight as to the kind of stuff that we're looking for, and we'd love to entertain that. Like I say, we'll have to be making a decision within the next few months and a couple months, and we're really looking for the right person, not necessarily somebody that just comes out of the boating world that's in that same echo chamber or whatever that we're in. Sure. So we're definitely interested in reaching out.
Like fun people. I mean, if you're into water sports and trying new things and sailing and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's what we're looking for. Someone excited.
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of almost every job is like, well, who do you want to hang out with for 40 hours a week, or 10 days in a row for that matter. So I totally get that.
Because we all live together. We live together on the same boat, and
one dysfunctional family.
All right, very cool, excellent. I'll post that in the show notes so people can click on that email easily and get to you guys if they're interested. And every show we always end with a poop story. Have you guys you guys have a poop story for My Shitty Podcast? I'm sure you've got many. Working on a boat, dealing with like semi-reliable toilets. I've lived in an RV for a short stint, so I'm very familiar with the like nice toilet is underrated, I gotta say.
Right.
So I understand.
It's a very similar lifestyle, that RV style and the boat lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I mean, okay, so mine would be, this goes back to when Lesli and I first met, right? So so I truly thought that I had found a mermaid, honestly. Like, she was perfect. She was she still is amazing. But I owned a smaller boat and was running my own day charters for myself. And so she and I started dating. At some point, she ended up getting rid of her condo and she moved onto the boat with me. So we're both living there. We're taking my boat out, well, regularly, and every morning, like she would get up and she would go for a swim. And I'd be, kind of laying there, just like seeing her show her body and flip her hair and jump in, skinny dip into the
Wow.
water. And she looked absolutely beautiful. And I'm just like, lucky me.
Yeah.
So one of these days, I'm just like, I think I'm gonna go join her. Like, she's out there just swimming around. I'm just gonna go see what that's like,
Yeah.
And she
Probably
pops
wants
her
me
head
to.
up. She pops her head up and she's swinging her hair and doing the, comb the hair back,
Jeez.
mermaid looking
I'm
gorgeous.
not.
Then all of a sudden I see a bloom, 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 bloom. Every morning she was getting up and she was going out to drop a deuce in the ocean. And at that particular time, each one is just popping up one by one right around her. And she's just smiling with her hair back, looking all beautiful and sexy like a mermaid. And I'm like, okay, so we've crossed that boundary.
Well, I have to explain. In a boat, it's very small, and the toilet was right next to the bedroom. And we're still trying to maintain that mystery. And I didn't know you were gonna come out, or I thought it was gonna float faster away. I don't know. Yeah.
Nature's bidet. That's the best
And
part
he
about
still
that.
married me.
Yeah. At that point, I mean, what, you gotta
Yeah,
have something.
we got very close very fast. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Lesli, that kind of counts as yours. Do you have something?
I was just gonna say that I feel like that's my poop story too. I feel like I own it a little bit more than you do.
Yeah.
I should have jumped in there.
All right.
Ryan's like, there's two of us. There was a golden opportunity. I hit the buzzer faster than you did. So. That's great, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate it. Again, you knocked it out of the park. That's it for us. Play us out, Shitty Ukulele.